Welcome back. We're still on TVC Breakfast, and it's the Talk Time segment. First, it was a leadership tussle that got messy, then a national disdain over wardrobe allowance, and now Nigerians are angry with the National Assembly's excessive recess. Our lawmakers have sat for just 15 days since they were inaugurated early June, and in that time have passed no bill. But they've collected their full salaries and allowances, of course, which tracking organization budget puts at 13 billion naira. Of course, we are talking about the excessive recess impact upon by the members of the 8th National Assembly. And thankfully, I have my guest in the studio. He made it through the traffic in Lagos. I have a political analyst, Mr. Liberos Oshoma. Thank you for joining me.
My
Welcome
pleasure,
at last. All right, so what do you think about the excessive recess impact upon by these lawmakers? Isn't it even necessary?
Every concerned Nigeria would feel worried because of what is going on. Even the National Assembly members. That's why, if you remember, they had been saying that they are not on recess, that they just suspended plenary. And so, for me, basically, the essence of legislature, it is the business of the plenary that you discuss at the back room office. If there's basically no business, at the, this thing, you find out that the little back office business will not be that much, because it is in the back office that you begin to, committees, discussions are done. Nobody had told us now that they are carrying out oversight functions as we speak. So with that, you say work is still going on. There were, although the 7th National Assembly hurriedly, passed, I think, about 49 Bs after spending so much time on recess, like these ones are doing also. And so, towards the expiration of their tenure, you saw them hurriedly, passing these bills. I think these bills were passed in less than 1 hour.
10 minutes. They passed them in 10 minutes.
And so when they had, the entire year, 4 years, to do the business of the passage of these bills. And so we have started in the same vein. And also, I would share the blame to a very large extent between the legislature and the executive. You see, what we've been used to is at inauguration, the president delivers what you call an inaugural address. The president delivers, an inaugural address that will contain the business or the programs, the plans and programs of the executive for the legislative year. And with that, once that is delivered, the legislature, it now becomes a meat for the legislature to chew, for at least for 2-3 months. They debate on it and then budgets for it and what can be done, areas that are feasible, the ones that are not feasible. But what you have also now is a situation where there was no inaugural address. The legislature they were promulgated or they were inaugurated via a letter from the president.
Should have been there in person.
And so, to that extent, you can say that apart from the fact that the president just called them to come confirm the service chiefs, there has been no business from the executive to the legislature. So, in
other words, it's like the proverbial problem starting from the root.
Yes, exactly. And so, apart from the fact that the legislature, you have a lazy legislative house. And so, the executive also added to their being lazy by, not giving them something to do.
But why would you call the legislative,
basically,
assembly lazy, really?
Why would we call them lazy? If they sat for 2 days and went on recess for 2 weeks, came back, sat for 3 days and went on recess for 6 weeks, and now they came back again, sat for less than 10 days and went on recess. They are resuming September 29th for more than a month. And so if you tell me...
It's summer.
Okay, but they also knew that it is summer. At the end of the day, if you say it is summer, for the first 6 months, you have your legislature sitting for less than 30 days. And then you say because it is summer. If we all take holidays like that in our places of work, I bet you there will be nobody to do the job.
The question is, I'm sure many of them have their own companies. Would they allow any employee to work for less than...
Exactly. So these are the issues. That is why some people have said, look, now that the country is not aground, since the business of the legislative business have been suspended to a very large extent, apart from what is happening in the back room, why can't we have a part-time legislature and you're paid only for the period that you sit, instead of, you know, blazing around and you still get paid? Well,
I've had the opportunity to speak with so many lawmakers on this platform, and they've been unanimous in saying no.
Yeah, because you see, even
those want to be legislators on part-time basis.
Even those that promised us, if you remember, in 2011, I remember vividly, Honorable Bamidele Okpeyemi promised during the campaigns that when he gets to the legislative chambers, that he will disclose allowances and salaries.
Many of them made promises.
You know, that he earns, but he got there and he maintained that same oath of secrecy that we all know them to maintain. Now, wait, I'm coming to that. And now, when in the campaign, when I heard Ben More-Bruce, I heard Dino Melaye, I laughed and I said, look, these are campaign promises. Anybody, I will not, you know, buy into all of these, you know, slogans of I will disclose my source of earnings and all of that. We've heard them before. Once you get there, even during the Man of the Year award, Ben More-Bruce said quite a lot. And there was only one response that Uduaghan, you know, gave him. The former governor of Delta State responded. He said, look, well, I hope and I pray that you will get there. And when you get there, I pray that your colleague will allow you to do all of this, which is very instructive. What it means is that, you know, political office holders in Nigeria, there is a conspiracy amongst political office holders in Nigeria that once they are together, you know, it is them against the rest of us. And so you can have, you know, fantastic promises. Once you get there, you know, you subscribe to whatever happens there. And then the moment you begin to work, you know, against those interests, or you want to deliver on your campaign promises that will go against those interests, you are seen as anti-establishment. And so in some cases, we've had cases where committees are set up to try honorable members for making statements that they felt were insulting. You remember Senator Aliyu that once said that there were some senators amongst, you know, them that he has investigated at one time or the other, that he can say, you know, are criminals. And he was asked to
that's why they
retract.
Protect their own, even when they mess up in the eye of the world.
Exactly.
Like the former senator during the subsidy review that we've heard nothing about.
Farouk Lawa. Not just Farouk Lawa, even Honorable Mbe from Benue State. You know, and then the painful part of all of this is that once these people leave their former party and move to the ruling party, you know, their sins are forgiven, and they've been asked to go and sin no more. And that's, you know, what also worries me. It is not, now people are beginning to understand that it is not just about the party. Because when PDP was in power, this was the same game we saw the senator play. You know, sit, go on recess, sit, go on recess. Recess was a usual thing for them. And then they tell you that provided they meet the required number of sitting for a year. And then another thing you begin to look at, if you remember, in 1983, in the Bender State House of Assembly, the then Speaker, Honorable Benson Alegbe, suspended Honorable Oloyo for not meeting the required number of sitting in the House. And Oloyo went to court, approached the Supreme Court for interpretation, I think then Section 162 of the 1979 Constitution, that states that if you absent yourself from the from the sitting of the House, I think for 150-something days, or one-third of the total number sitting of the House for unjust cause. And what was in contention then was what was unjust cause. But now, even though that section had been amended, but I have never, from the States House of Assemblies to the National Assembly, I have never seen where a speaker will suspend a member for not meeting the required number of sitting, because it is, you know, a common thing amongst them not to even sit.
And even when they sit, some of them just go there to sleep.
That's what I'm telling you. And so you find out that apart from this general recess, there are some also who I feel do more of their business than the business of the National Assembly.
Just collect national money collect, and then inject such money into their personal businesses.
Still collect salaries, and they remain there in Abuja. They have constituency offices that are covered with cobwebs. And so you find that if you really want to understand the business of legislature, what is the essence of a legislature having a constituency office? The essence of having a constituency office is because you come back often to gauge the feeling of your constituents, you know, and these are where people can send, you know, input or complaints. I remember when Senator John Kerry was a senator in America, a lady who was married to a Nigerian, and his Nigerian husband was refused visa to come join her in America. She had to cry to the office of a senator representing her constituency that, look, she will not leave here until her worries are entertained. And do you know that the senator took that upon himself, and at the end of the day, the husband was issued a visa from Nigeria here to go join the wife.
Even the lawmakers are so unreachable. They don't go back to their roots.
It is very difficult for you to reach your lawmakers. The moment they are elected, they are in Abuja. And so the lawmakers now are like the executives that you can't reach. They are supposed to act as a bridge between the people and the governance. But when you don't see them, sometimes you get to their constituency office, there is nobody there because campaigns are over. You only see them during campaigns. And in some cases, I've had cause to interact with a few. They tell you, oh, committee here, committee there. I'm carrying out oversight function. I have to go on assignment for the Senate president. I have to go on assignment for the speaker. And then you begin to ask yourself, how about my own assignment? Who goes on my own assignment? Because you are supposed to be, you know, you are supposed to be serving me.
Yeah, exactly.
And so if nobody is going on my assignment, I've elected you there, you are now going on assignment for
another representative.
Another representative, then who goes for my assignment? So there are a whole lot of issues. It's not just about going on recess. There are so many issues we need to begin to look at. And then also as Nigerians, we need to change our orientation. This attitude of once you get there, once they get there, they are untouchable. And the next thing you hear is, Twale Baba, I am loyal to your government, and all kinds. And then, you know, they come back, they give you peanuts and still buy your conscience. We need to begin to demand accountability from our representative. Until we do that, and then this process of recalling representative, we also need to make it simpler.
Very, very cumbersome, and indeed, this is the first time really we are hearing Nigerians even saying that before, maybe because they felt they were not part of choosing previous governments in the country, but because yes, they practically put this new government in place. They've been talking about it since the executive and the legislature came to offices.
We truly need to find a process of amending our laws and say, look, we need to have a situation where we would have a power of recalling, power of making input, power of demanding accountability. Because basically what you have,
apologies, before you continue, let's speak at Mustafa's call. He's calling us from Borno State. Good morning to you, Mustafa.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead with your comment.
Hello, good morning, please. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is that the lawmakers, they seem as if, hello? The people that elected them are nothing. Hello?
Yes, we are listening. There's a delay. Please go ahead, Mustafa. We are listening to you.
And when you are in difficulty, you can't just get them readily available.
All right, Mustafa, thank you for your call. It was a long delay, but if you still want to call us on the show, please know that once I tell you to go ahead, just start talking, because there seems to be a delay. Maybe the network, we don't know. So just go ahead. Don't wait to hear my voice. Once they tell you that you're on air, just start talking. Thank you for calling the program. And of course, we're watching TVC Breakfast. Okay, so what you're trying to make a point.
I completely agree with what Mustafa was saying. You find out that if you are truly representing me and my interest and the interest of my constituency, like you hear them say, oh, my people have been marginalized, my people this, then I should have a process of reaching you, which is the constituency houses or the constituency offices, where I can go submit a petition in your office and things that affect me. But what we basically hear is go to court, go to. I've had cause to even interface with some committees of the National Assembly. And I know the kind of treatment I got. At the end of the day, you are told, go home and we will get back to you. And they never get back to you. At the end of in some cases, you have to write more than 10 petitions to the speaker for somebody to respond to you. If somebody at my level, you know, can do that, then it means that people below, it becomes very difficult for them to even assess governance.
Can some of them even afford the money for them to transport themselves
exactly,
to
because
Abuja to
we had to use our money, transport ourselves to Abuja to meet with the committee, and you know, we're called on a Monday that the committee will be sitting on Tuesday afternoon. We had to hurriedly, you know, buy flight ticket, hotel reservations, and all of that.
Many people can't even afford transportation.
Getting to Abuja,
very cumbersome.
Meeting with the committee. And at the end of the day, even we were surprised.
Oh, yeah, apologies, Mr. Oshoma. We have Jacob waiting, calling us from Togo. Apologies to you, Jacob, for letting you wait for quite a while. Go ahead with your comments.
Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
How are you? Okay. I just want to do a little contribution regarding these lawmakers. You know, I've said it before. If you remember, some time ago, with this that is going on, we're going to have enough problems. You understand? Because with this lawmaker attitude, this government is going to fail. Let me just plan with you. This government will fail. And I don't wish that to happen. You know, these people, they are not ready to work for us. They come to work for their family. It is clear. And if Baba is going to allow these people to continue this way, we're going to regret this government. And I don't want that to happen to us. Please, I'm just begging for Baba to find an action about this. Let him do something about this urgently. If not, we're going to cry more. Please, just a little advice.
Okay, thank you very much, Jacob, for calling us from Togo. Quite emotional there, really. And there is cause for concern for every Nigerian.
Yes, there is. That's why I told you that, you know, concerned Nigerians are worried because basically, you know, good laws are the oil with which the yam of every government is eaten. You know, and so basically, if your legislature are not there to, you know, make good laws, and all they do is recess after recess, only God knows when they come again now. By September, sit for a few months, a few weeks, they go on, you know, another long recess to resume in January.
Like Jacob inferred, they have nothing to offer.
Yeah, basically, I wouldn't say they have nothing to offer. They have a lot to offer, but whether they want to offer those lots that they have to offer, it's what we are here discussing. Because you can't say your legislature have nothing to offer. They have a whole lot to offer. That is why the Constitution makes provisions for what they can do. That is why in every government, democratic practice, even in parliamentary system, you know, the business of governance cannot be successfully carried on without the input of the legislature. Without, you know, that is why also, because they are also there to checkmate.
They're even key players, really.
Very.
Checks and balances,
yes.
and of course separation of power. We have Ibrahim calling us from Kano at this time. Thank you for your time on the program. Go ahead with your comment. Ibrahim, are you still there? If you can see.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah, please, I just need to contribute about this National Assembly members of AP.
Yes,
Hello?
we are listening. We are listening, Ibrahim. We lost this call. Like I said earlier, once you connect with me and you hear my voice and I tell you to go ahead with your comment or contribution, just start talking. Don't waste your airtime. And of course, you know how the networks are sometimes. So thank you anyway, Ibrahim. I would really love to speak to you. Please call back before the end of the segment. Now, it seems the problem of the 8th National Assembly somehow started from the point of choosing the leadership of the assemblies.
They are not even done. They are still fighting over committees.
Again. They spend a lot of time fighting for spoils.
Basically, what happens, what this shows is that our legislatures, the business of our legislature is not basically our business. And so they are the business of Nigerians. It's about, you find out that is why in Nigeria, and politics in Nigeria, people will kill to serve you. It's the only country where people will tell you, or most countries in Africa, they tell you, I want to go serve you, and they first want to kill you to serve you. You know, and because if you check very well, what basically happens is that there is so much money in the business of politics.
Too much money. Really.
And that is why somebody can afford to spend 2 billion naira, you know, running for an election because he knows he wants to recoup. And that is why you hear people talk about juicy portfolios, non-juicy portfolios. If it is about service, then you won't hear comments like juicy portfolios. And you won't see people go do Thanksgiving because, you know, they've won elections.
Indeed.
Or because if you're going to serve, you don't go thanking God because you want to go serve the people.
They do Thanksgiving for getting visa.
Exactly. You know, and that is why, you know, you apply for a visa and the first question, ordinarily, it should be that you are innocent until proven guilty. But once you are before the visa officer, what they told us is that you're guilty until you prove yourself innocent. The impression is that you are not coming back until you convince him beyond doubt that you are coming back. It's the same thing here. The moment they are elected into office, the first impression we have as Nigerians is that, look, this man is going to eat our money, except he proved himself otherwise. And that is why you see the likes of Ben Murray Bruce telling you all kinds, oh, we do this, we do that, we'll slash salaries, we'll donate salaries. But now they are there. They maintain conspiracy of silence. All
right, we have a caller, apologies. We have a caller at this time. We didn't get your name. You're calling from Niger. So please tell us your name first of all before you start with your comment.
I'm calling from Mina.
Your name, please.
Mendy.
Oh, Menji. All right, thank you for calling. Go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, I actually love your talk this morning. I want to contribute. You see, the president has made it in such a way that our national lawmakers have excuses to give. Because all they're just doing now is just enriching themselves for nothing. And if you go by the policy, no work, no pay, that would be too much. So why not be in that country? When they don't work, they should not take. Thank you very much.
All right, sir. Menjin, thank you for your contribution. It says if no work, no pay is being used in almost every organization, why not in Nigeria's legislature?
But they will, like I said, they will tell you that
they've gotten 13 billion now.
That they will tell you that all that they suspended is plenary, and so since plenary had been suspended, that there is still the business of the house going on at the backroom office, and so. But what Nigerians know and see is the plenary and the debate at the plenary and how laws are marshaled and the input of your senators or legislators representing your constituency. In the last dispensation, there was a time we did an analysis of senators that had bills per senator, and we'll discover that there were some senators for 4 years. There was no motion attached to their name. There was no bill attached to their name. And what they were just there collecting allowances. And take, for example, Senator McAfee. At a point, I could not find a bill attached to Senator McAfee's name. But for a very long time, he was a Senate chairman on Finance Committee. You know, for a very long time. And so you now begin to ask yourself, what is, does it mean that our constituency, there is basically nothing affecting us that will warrant a bill from you to protect, you know, some of the activities or some of the issues bedeviling, you know, our constituencies? And so it's not just McAfee. There's so many other people. You know, while some senators had 6 bills to their name, some had 10 bills, there was nothing. Zero. And so
what they went to do was just to say hi.
The eyes have it and the nays, you know, have it. And so you now begin and then Nigerians have been asking for electronic voting on the floor of the Senate,
well, from
on the floor of the National Assembly. From
what I got from one of the lawmakers I spoke with on the show, they have it.
Yes.
In the assemblies, they do.
You know,
it's just that they decided not to use that.
You remember,
every state has it. All they have to do is just to adopt it.
You remember during the constitution amendment process, there were some senators, because that was what was used. That was how Nigerians knew senators that voted against Section 24 of the amending Section 24 of the Constitution that says once you are married, you are presumed to be an adult, to be of age. And senators that didn't vote in that line. The senator from Ondo State, or Osun State, you know, that was how people knew the way he voted. In other climes, you know the pattern of voting of a senator. You say, okay, this man is a liberal Democrat, or he's a Democrat, he's a Republican. So these are his ideology. Naturally, this is the way he would vote, even at the Supreme Court in America. But here, what happens is, you don't even know how they vote. The voices of the nays are louder than that of the highs. The prerogative of the president or the speaker. And in so doing, it is the business is determined by the leadership of the House. Now you know
why they always want to be, politicians really always want to be either the Senate president or the Speaker of the House of Representatives. We have Datutu joining us at this time, calling from Taraba. Good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Tutu. Go ahead.
Yeah, your program is indeed very, very important to us. Yeah, I'm calling from Taraba. Tutu is my name. And I want to contribute that the first corruption to be fought is this issue of the National Assembly. How can a whole National Assembly go for only 15 days? Out of the recess of 60 days, and we cannot call this the first fight of corruption in this country. I think this is the first step that we should fight, and fight these people that this is the first step of corruption that Buhari is about to fight. And we have to fight this one collectively as a nation, without which this National Assembly is going to end up with only 60 days in office and the whole time is gone. So I am calling upon the whole people of Nigeria. We should come out collectively and fight this to the latter. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Jatutu. From what I was about to ask you before the call, really, the civil society, you know how active the civil society was during the last administration, well, before the elections. But somehow, from what Nigerians saw, it was like the major faces, really, of civil societies pitched their tents with the winning side, which they thought was the winning side anyway. And now, almost all of them are silent.
You see,
almost all of them, because we know what they did, the role most of these people did during the subsidy protests.
That's what I tell people. We have this mentality of it is APC. we all supported them, and so let's not criticize them. Some will say it is too early. But you forget, we all forget so soon that if you are a website developer, you employ hackers. You develop a website, you employ hackers to try hack into your website, and so you know where the faults are. After your program, I am sure you will call your boss to ask for feedback, critique. Where did I go wrong? Where didn't I go wrong? You know, so that you know how to develop yourself next time. Even when you build cars, you will look for people, rough drivers, to try, you know, drive this car roughly so you know where the problems are. But in Nigerian government, once it is a government that we all supported, the moment you begin to critique that government, people will think you don't mean well for the government. But basically, what criticism does is to point out the areas where the government is not doing well, so that government can listen and say, okay, we need to put input here, we need to make input there, so that we can all do it better. Which is why also you open up the phone lines for people to call in to make inputs. And then some people will tell you, well, government don't listen. But I tell you that they listen. It's only when you insult them that they come out to begin to file libel charges against you and want to pull the heavens down. But when you make recommendations and they know that they are good, because our mentality, attitude to governance is, look, I know it all. And that is why I tell people, for the fact that, you know, we all supported or we wanted a change, and now the change has come, it's not El Dorado. We need to begin to make input. We need to continue the fight, most especially now that the supposed opposition party is as docile as any other thing. And so they are still trying to even put their house together, not to talk of plain opposition. So those in opposition are Nigerians. And also it is worrisome because more than 70% of people that had been in PDP from 1999 are now in APC. And so it shouldn't just be once you change your party, your sins are forgiven. They still carry the same ideology in new bottle. They still carry the same ideology, the same mentality, the same thought.
And gradually, the people Nigerians ran away from.
Exactly. So Buhari alone can't do it all. So this is where the civil society also needs to begin to play a key role. You begin to look at mirror issues and find out where Nigerians, and educate and inform Nigerians on how they can. That's why I said now that, look, in tinkering with our laws, we need to look at our recalling process. Also, there is time for us to begin to say, look, even though our legislators are rejecting it unanimously, that, look, we need to have people who truly mean well for this country. People who can sit on a part-time basis, not just go to Abuja and sit down there permanently. And then also, us. I give you an example. Just tell me, if the INEC chairman in the last dispensation were from Delta State or from Edo State or from Rivers State, do you think Buhari would have won that election? It's an impossibility. You know, because you know the feeling of people from, you know, these areas, with even people from the eastern part of the country, you know, with Jonathan. Oh, yes, the man had these people that have been marginalized for so long and all of that. All of this barrage of criticism are just, you know, to pull the man down, even though he was largely incompetent. And so that is why we need also to begin to look at electoral processes that allow the money bags, you know, to hijack the entire process. And no matter how good you are, no matter how transparent you are, if you don't have, you know, godfathers in political parties, then you can never be there.
That's why, for example, politicians will contest in Northwest and win in Northeast.
Exactly. So if Buhari were an independent candidate and people overwhelmingly voted for him, he wouldn't have been looking at politicians' faces. Oh, these political leaders, or these ones actually helped me to get to where I am. You know, how do I begin to go against them and all of that? I don't want to destroy the party. And that is why there were allegations that Senate rules were forged. But at the end of the day now, you know, gradually the issue is dying down. And whether you like it or not, a few weeks from now, you won't hear anything about that again. And so that's where we need to begin also to look at electoral processes. If you keep quiet about electoral processes, you'll be surprised that all the gains of democracy during this dispensation. Come 2019, before you know it, we'll be back to the Morrissey era.
Oh, we talked about Professor Morrissey as well last week. Okay, so I've had people suggest, even Nigerians suggesting, and it was even part of the recommendations in the last the national conference that was put, the confab that was put in place by former President Goodluck Jonathan, that it should encourage independent candidacy.
Yeah, because you see, Nigerians, we mouth one thing and do another. You see, we still have this mentality of, if you're not coming from the big party, nobody wants to touch you with a long pole. You know, that is why during the election you had people who, some people would say, oh, yes, I listened to the debate. They were very credible. If only he was a member of this big party. You know? And for me, during the election, I really didn't bother where you were coming from. I didn't vote for any of the two big names. You know, because I looked at both parties and I saw that there was basically no difference. Apart from the man Buhari, all you had were, you know, same of the same. And so it was difficult for me to begin to choose, oh, how do I didn't want to follow the bad wagon. And so for me, like I consistently maintained at that time, it was an opportunity for Nigerians to test this independent candidacy thing. Look, assume that these fringe parties, these smaller parties, the candidates are independent candidates because the parties were not known. They were known during the election. So it was even difficult to even identify the names of some, you know. And so let's assume that these people
That's why they fade away
candidates.
usually after general elections. You don't remember them.
You don't remember them. So assume that they're independent candidates. And so how will you, as Nigerians, if you have independent candidates, how will you support such candidates? And we saw what happened. It was the big two. And the rest were just in some areas, in a whole state, you see 100 votes. And, you know, you wonder. And so our orientation, our mentality also needs to change. We need to begin to identify people, irrespective of where they are, irrespective of their party affiliation, to say, look, we would support this. Because if we truly agree that the two major parties that we have, they've been hijacked by, you know, the money bags. So it is time now that Nigerians begin to create their own platforms and say, look, we truly want to. If Nigerians had platform, somebody like Buhari would long have won election. But because there were no platforms, and so you saw him leave AMPP. Immediately after the election, the party rejected him at the tribunal and said, look, we are not contesting because we've been offered some portfolios. So we are not contesting the election. And he was a lone ranger. You know, at the end of the day, he had to leave that political party to form his own political CPC. Party. You know, because of, you know, the huge crowd of followers that he had, he was able to go the way he went. Well, how about Atiku Abubakar? He left PDP, he joined AC, then AC to ACN. And at the end of the day, he said, look, I can't continue with this kind of opposition because it does not bring money. You spend the little ones that you have. And he went back to PDP, only for him to pull out later. And these are the kinds of politicians that we have.
And created his own party too.
You know,
PDM.
PDM, you know, it was an arm. PDM has always been existent. It was an arm. It was a vehicle that they have always used as you know,
to build his followership.
Exactly. And so now, when we talk about independent candidacy, Nigerians should be the ones that will drive that vehicle of independent candidacy. Otherwise, what you're going to have is a situation where you have independent candidates and it's difficult for them to even have followers. Because it's very easy for us to say election, you need funds, you need money. That is why in America, if you're raising funds from the public, there is no need to give you grants. But here, before now, you know, what usually happens is, you know, you just have these political parties that exist in your portfolio because INEC will always give you grants. You know, the man, his wife, his children are all political officers that are all executive of the party or some pseudonyms that don't exist. And so now that you need to raise funds, you see people subscribe. Even during Obama's election, people were raising funds in Nigeria. I mean, when it's politics here, they don't even raise funds for their own. but they were raising funds for other people in another country.
And it's always the ruling party getting all the
funds, because the ruling party, you know, they all
everybody wants to be in bed with the people in power.
They have people in all agencies. And so our orientation, our mentality needs to change for us to truly, it's not just about, you know, putting it in our laws, which is very good to put it there, but as Nigerians, if we don't support it, if we don't subscribe to it, then it will be difficult. Buhari had been able to go this far because of the kind of cult followership that he enjoys from his region. And so the opposition party, then opposition party, now the ruling party looked at it, will truly sell, that will be able to give PDP a run for its money. And down south, he was never really accepted until the party down south, you know, took him, brushed him up, rebranded him in a way that he would be sellable to those in the south. And that was what, you know, won that election.
And that was when Nigerians knew that it was time for change.
Yes. Otherwise, it would still, if he had stood alone with CPC, it would still have been difficult for him to win that election.
But now, with all his gains and, of course, his integrity, Nigerians are so happy with him so far. But the legislators are getting Nigerians angry. They talk about them every time on the social media. It's always active.
That is
but they know that Nigerians are somehow passive.
You see, that is why this is the step to a new beginning. Buhari is not the new beginning. Buhari is the step to the new beginning, if only we can get it right with him. And in getting it right, now you have a man who is ready, you know, to chart a new course. It's ready to pave the path.
And cleanse the system.
Then you will need somebody that will lay the bricks after him. And so what basically happened with the election was that the House of Assembly members were voted into office with Buhari's sympathy. A lot of people, oh, where is Buhari's party? This one, okay.
The bandwagon effect.
The bandwagon effect. And so now we have discovered that the same House of Assembly members are what we know them to be.
The National Assembly members.
The National Assembly members. Even the House of Assembly members, they are all agencies, they are all the
beneficiaries of the bandwagon effect.
Exactly, they've been pocketed by the governors of those states. And so the only way we can begin to make a change in this system is consistently, if we cannot do anything about it now, we need to first and foremost support every effort of the president, and then also we need to consistently have our eyes in our electoral processes so that after now, we would be able to say, look, now we know the same way we did not look at political parties when we voted in the last dispensation, we no longer want to look at political parties. We want to look at people who we know can perform, who are credible to drive the process. People who will be able to raise their voice and say, enough of this unnecessary recess. If the executive is not giving us business to do, we need to generate business on our own.
But it seems that Nigerians are always, even the ones, maybe some Nigerians really, are always the ones to be quick to criticize the government or EFCC or the executive when maybe the executive wants to wield the big hammer on corrupt people. Recall the wife of the Senate president was invited by EFCC, and see the number of legislators who followed her to EFCC office.
I am
leaving their duties as national legislators.
Because that had been the usual business. What basically changed was the logo. The people didn't change. Saraki we had known since 1999. Dino Melaye we had known. So the fact that they were able to hoodwink Nigerian that look is a new slogan. Imagine a Saraki coming to say that PDP had run the country aground since 1999, that is so bad. Then you now begin to ask, who is PDP and who is APC here? You know, and so when the wife was invited by EFCC, some of his loyalists would complain. But for people like me, and I said, look, the question is, some people even raised the issue that it is because he went against the party directive. Why only him? And my response then was, if your hands are clean, no matter how many times EFCC invites you, the hands will always remain clean. He who comes to equity must come with clean hands. But if the hands are sore, irrespective of where you belong, I don't see any reason why you should not be invited.
And he was a governor for 8 years in Kwara State.
And even if you're saying that we're more than this, but let's start with you. It's unfortunate that they are starting with you. And so, I really
They
didn't
didn't even start with it. It's just the Nigerians, like I said, somehow want to always support their own. Because the daughter of the former president was also invited as well.
That is the mentality that we all have. You know, that is why how we encourage these political office holders to do whatever they like, and they always come back to us, and we sing their praises. They give us T-shirts, and then give us banners and bags of rice and loaves of bread.
A bag of rice there.
And then we sing their praises, we dance with them, we go to campaign rallies with them. And that is why you hear that
infrastructure.
They tell you that at rallies, you know, funds are budgeted to hire crowds. You see the same set of people. That is why you see during a state rally, you will see more than 5 million. They will tell you, oh, massive 2 million man rally. And in totality, in the election in that state, the people that voted are not up to 700,000.
And you made me remember what happened when the president now went to Chatham House in London for his debate, and then some people were protesting against him, and then a reporter was there asking them, why are you protesting?
They
had no clue. They didn't know why they were protesting. They said they were hired.
They were paid to come protest. And so you find out that it's on both sides. And because Nigerians truly still do not know how to demand accountability. And because they know we don't know. So what they do is to keep you perpetually poor by what they are doing now. You sit today and say there is no business to discuss, so let's go on recess until we are given something to do. And then the economy is not moving. You have policies that are antithetical to the plans of government, and nobody is doing anything about it. And then, at the end of the day, what happens is, when all of this happens, the people are impoverished. And so when you come from your high horse in Abuja down to the people with a long stretch of convoy, they sing your praises because they know that you will throw peanuts to them.
All right, thank you very much. Apologies because of time. We have to end it here. Quite interesting indeed, Mr. Liberos Oshoma, for your analysis of the 8th National Assembly. That's it on Talk Time 7.